A very good afternoon to all of you who have joined us in the panel discussion on the trending topic in compliance, that's BRSR. I am Ishan, your host and the moderator for the session today. Welcome you on behalf of British Standard Institution. We all are aware that gone are the days when the businesses were only evaluated based upon their financial success. But now is the time when the ESG report card is equally or slightly more important. BRSR, BRSR Core or BRSR Lite. These are the tool for measuring, reporting and managing a company's ESG health in India under the SEBI compliance requirements for listed entities. But do you think ESG reporting or this is only important for listed entity? We will figure out. This panel discussion, which we have initiated today, is first one in the series of BRSR webinars, which we will be conducting in upcoming months as well. And for today's discussion, we have two guest speakers with me to shed some light on assurance side as well as the implementation side of BRSR and BRSR core. So without any delay, let me take you through the session today. Let me share my presentation. Hope this is visible. Yeah. So first of all, I will request as a basic ground rules for all the participants to keep themselves mute, and this session is since being recorded. In case of any queries, please feel free to put it in the chat box along with your name and your email ID. So as in case your query doesn't get answered, we may send you the responses later with the session recording. When it comes to the session flow, let me tell you first, starting few minutes, I'll be setting up the context. Then we'll be moderating a panel discussion with our esteemed guest, which will be sharing us informations around assurance and implementation side. And then we will be taking some participant queries as the time allows to us. With this, let me introduce our first guest today, our first speaker, Mr. Vishwabandhu Bhattacharya, who comes from the organization rather than a group, Tata Group, who itself has a legacy of ESG related initiatives. This is a group who has decoded the ESG linkage with the business success from very long. Even when these were not the policies in India, the policies like maternity benefits, 8 hours working day, gratuity, PFs were there in the Tatas. Mr. Bandhu has joined us. He is currently a director and global sustainability with Tata Consumer Products, has comes with a near to a 2 decade of experience in ESG strategy, climate change, and sustainable value chain. Mr. Bandhu is also recognized among the top 20 ESG transformational leaders in 2024. He comes from a variety of background and sector experiences such as tires, cement, and also he is currently serving on CII National Committee on Water. Mr. Bandhu will be sharing us insights on the implementation sides and its little challenges. And I am very proud to announce that the BSI is a proud assurance partner with Tata Group as well. My next speaker for today is Mr. Srinivas Babu Nagaraj, who is my colleague and a sustainability assessor with BSI. Mr. Srinivas comes with a legacy of experience of 35 years in the field of climate change, ISO management systems. He is right now focusing on GHG related audits, GHG verification, ESG reports, GRI, as well as the BRSR related audits. He's having experience in various sectors for doing the audits, be it pharma, be it IT, be it metal, and these are just few names. Mr. Babu has earlier worked with some esteemed organizations like Wipro, Sodexo, and CBRE as well. Mr. Srinivas will be sharing us some insights towards the assurance side of BRSR. The next is me. I am your moderator for today. I'm Ishan, and I'm also along with BSI as a sustainability assessor who is focusing currently on the ESG related products, be it carbon, carbon inventory, carbon inventorization, plus GRI and BRSR audits and trainings as well. Let me just give you a quick introduction of what BSI is and what BSI offers, especially for those who are less aware about it. So we are not new. We are one of the oldest organization established in 1901, have a presence to more than 190 countries right now with a big number of clients in our basket. We are the developers, founding partners. We are also the members of ISO committees and we develop standards, we provide trainings around it, and we provide the audit services. Some of the important standards that I would like to highlight, be it the very first sustainability standard, which is ISO 14001, developed initially by the name of BS, British Standard 7750, later on converted to ISO 14001. And proudly, I can also say that one of the ISO standard which was launched in COP28, which held in Dubai, in 2023, it was ISO standard for carbon neutrality, 14068 part 1. BSI was chairing the committee for the development of this standard as well. So this is what BSI has been doing from very long. When it comes to our sustainability services at a glance, we have these products which I am showing on the screen. These are just a glance of it, but we have a bigger basket. This is just to give you a glimpse of our presence in verification, training, product certification, and management system certification. Now, from where the push is coming for ESG reporting for listed companies in India? We know that there are numerous pointers there, but at the same time, it's coming started floating from the list for the listed companies from the stock exchange. India is also a member, a partner of Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative of UN. So you can see this image on the screen, which itself highlights that National Stock Exchange, NSE, BSE are the members of Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, whose main focus is to channelization of funds towards sustainable development. And that's why a lot of compliance is getting raised for listed firms. If you see countries, be it India or outside countries, in some or the other way, you will find ESG reporting is becoming mandatory, be it India, Middle East, Singapore, CSRD in Europe, China, California, and US. Everywhere in some or the other part, be it based upon the scale or size of the company, be it the requirement coming from stock exchanges. ESG reporting is now becoming a very important aspect for corporate transparency. And when I talk about India as a country, our ESG commitments and our demonstration towards ESG is not new. We have it there from very long, be it 2012 when BRR business responsibility reporting was there, be it 2014 when CSR law got mandated, CSR reporting got mandated, and then the introduction of BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting in 2021. Prior to which, in 2019, there were the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct, NGRBC, which provides us the principles. And you see within BRSR, the KPIs can be found within those principle wise. In 2023, SEBI comes up with the assurance requirement for listed companies, which we will discuss a little ahead as well, especially for BRSR core KPIs. If we see the general landscape of BRSR divided into three sections: general disclosure, management disclosure, and principle-wise disclosures. Within principle-wise, as I mentioned, the principles are used, which were NGRBC principle, came in 2019 by MCA. And against these principle-wise disclosures, you will find the KPIs, the pointers to be reported upon. And out of BRSR, there are 9 attributes which have been extracted, which became the part of BRSR core, which are on your screen. It includes the elements from climate change, social, as well as the government aspects into it. Now from here, let me enter into a moderated discussion on some of the questions which are touching the angle of assurance as well as touching the angle of implementation, both to Mr. Vishwabandhu as well as Mr. Srinivas. So my very first question in the panel discussion part would go to Mr. Srinivas Babu, and I would request Mr. Babu if you can share us the current compliance of SEBI for the top 1,000 firms on BRSR report submission, if there are any deadlines, or if there may be any consequences of missing those deadlines. Over to Mr. Srinivas Babu.
Thank you, Mr. Rishan. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes, very much, sir.
Thank you. And this was a very fundamental question, but yet important to understand. As per SEBI circular, which is coming up in the screen, it is applicable to top 1,000 listed firms from the year 23-24, whereas assessment or assurance on BRSR core KPI became applicable for these listed companies in a phased manner. If we are seeing it 23-24, where it was 150, which has gradually increased to 250. Now, the basket for 25-26 is 500 companies, and I think this will still go on over a period of time. Uh, Let me tell you the deadline, which is covered in the next page. So the deadline here, in terms of the BRSR per se, there is an extract which has been put up here from one of the FAQ document from NSE. What it says that there is no fixed calendar date. However, the BRSR report has to be filed along with the annual report submissions of the organization. The date of annual report submission, predominantly technically, that will become the date of BRSR report submission as well. And we all know that annual report submission or conducting the AGMs these are covered as per the Companies Act 2013, and it's later on whatever the amendments which has come. Let me move on to the next question. What if this is not submitted? Is there any penalty? As such, there is no specific penalties prescribed by SEBI, but however, one of the circular which is related to the sustainability subscription funds, um, which highlights the importance of channelization of all these funds into those entities who are reporting the BRSR. The snapshot is placed in the right. What it means? It means in case if the filing is missed out, it has an impact on the reputation. It can have an impact on the capital fund attraction. Definitely, it will have a talent attraction. Also, there could be an impact on the talent attraction. And more importantly, there are ESG rating firms which are verifying and looking the sustainability reporting. Then the ESG rating of the organization can go down. This could be the intangible impacts, I would say. Hope I have answered your question, Mr. Rishan.
Thank you, Mr. Babu, for answering it. I have just kept the crux of it into my mind as my note as well, that there is no specific deadline, has to be submitted along with the annual reports, and compliance of BRSR core assessment and assurance option is there. And the third one, if not submitted or submitted timely, then there will definitely be impacts on the reputational damages or in terms of attracting capital, talents, etc. Thank you for your submission, Mr. Babu. My next question, which you can understand a kind of a follow-up question, is to Mr. Vishwabandhu, that BRSR is there. Now, your comments from an industry perspective, how enthusiastically the corporates are embracing it, or are they feeling burdened? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I think I'll congratulate BSI for taking the position to raise awareness. We very proudly say that BSI has been our assurance partner for almost a decade now. And this is the right step actually in capacity building. So my congratulations to you and thank you for having Tata Consumer. I think let me speak from a Tata Consumer perspective, Ishan, first, and then give a little broader aspect. So we have published 4 or 5 BRSR reports, and every year, I think we have seen the usability of having this because it helps you to not only report performance, it also helps you to assess regarding the progress that we have made. So as a company, we have got targets on sustainability. We report all of that. And this year, we made a step change of having a consolidated report coming out of the BRS. So from that perspective, I can say that it really helps because it creates one document, which of course is a compliance document for us because we are within the top 150 companies by market cap. But apart from that, it also becomes our most comprehensive stated position on our ESG performance. And if you see the BRSR, the 9 principles around which it is architectured, it goes well into ESG, and it can really help you to assess the ESG performance plus governance of any company. So I think it has been a very good exercise for us, and it also becomes a very good starting point for any company of any size if they are looking to start their journey. Today, the BRSR gives you a very good starting point, and that can help you not only get a reporting framework, but also before that get a framework that helps you put a sustainability approach into place inside. So from that perspective, I think it's a very relevant topic.
Thank you, Mr. Vishwabandhu. It's a very important points that you have came forward with. Now, my query second goes to Mr. Srinivas Babu once again about clarifying the confusion of assurance versus assessment for BRSR core KPIs, and if you can please highlight the steps involved in the reasonable assurance at high level. Over to you, sir.
Sure, definitely, Mr. Rishan. Thanks for bringing up this is again at another important question where there has to be an utmost clarity to be established to the organization as well as to the assurance service providers as well. Before we get into the general understanding on the assurance and the assessment definition, first let us understand what SEBI says for assessment or assurance. SEBI is very clear that either it could be an assessment or an assurance which has to be conducted by a third-party assessment assessor. But however, to relax the process a bit, keeping the listed firms KPIs monitoring from an external eye, it says to decrease the effort and to decrease the cost of the listed firms, they can have an option to select either an assurance or an assessment. Now, let me tell you the basic difference in both in the next page. So if you look at the definition per se, from an SEBI point of view, it is more in terms of an independent gap assessment when we talk about assessment. But however, when we talk about assurance, it's a verification of the disclosed data, more detailed and more time is involved, and internal controls are the one which is the key focus when we are doing the assurance verification. Whereas in an assessment, it is merely there is an industry standard standards BRSR guideline. It is published. We will verify. We can do an assessment whether it is in line with those things or not. Both the things are performed by a third-party assurance provider. This is from a SEBI point of view, which I am talking about here, who performs it. But there is a difference in the outcome. In an assurance, after the assurance, an opinion statement is issued. But in terms of a gap assessment, it is only the gap assessment report which is issued. What is the difference between these two? Opinion statement is also the start point of the opinion statement is the gap assessment report. But however, there will be a verification and verification which happens for the closure of those findings or gaps which are assessed, and then a statement which is issued, which helps in enhancing the trust and the credibility of the organization when we talk about the assurance opinion statement. So we'll also look at in the others. Can you move on to the other slide, please? The next question on the steps in assurance. See, now, when it comes to the question of assurance process, we follow two standards which are popular in this space. Be it is AA1000 AS or ISAE 3000. Both are the assurance standards which any assurance service provider is following those standards, which explains in detail about the reasonable assurance process, mainly for the interpretation. But however, I'm just giving you four high-level steps which are involved for each data point. Suppose we say we are verifying a GST emission KPI we wanted to evaluate. Then it starts with the interviewing of the person or the at a site level site custodian who deals with the data, who understand the processes, and more importantly, we look how the data gather mechanism is in place, right from down the line, how it goes up into the ladder. And we take the sampling and do the data verification at various sites for it. But from a reasonable assurance point of view, the depth of the data verification, the depth of the samples, the number of samples what we pick up will be very high. Then we will also look at the verification of internal controls. More importantly, here, when we talk about internal controls, we check about is there an internal audit mechanism exist, which is happening, which is being conducted. These things will increase the confidence levels on the data which is gathered and which is
Okay.
reported. Then we raise the observations for closure, and of course, we also verify the closures for before issuing the opinion statement.
Okay.
Hope I could able to answer your question.
Yeah, very, very well noted and very clearly described, Mr. Babu. First, I've the assurance and assessment option is there. Then the second about the difference in assurance and assessment. And definitely there was a question which comes into the mind that as an assurance activity outcome, you get an opinion statement, but what outcome you will get as the assessment option if company is selecting. And then third's the steps in assurance, the high 4 level. Thank you, Mr. Babu, for the same. My next question is you can relate the with the previous question now for understanding from the industry side from Mr. Vishwabandhu. That said, what is the starting pathway of approaching the BRSR or core journey? If you can just give us some bullet points and your comments on choosing an option of assurance or assessment of core KPIs.
Thanks, Ishan. I think that's a very nice question. So I think as a starting point, that's also mentioned within BRSR is your material issues and your risk and dependencies, because that remains the bedrock of any sustainability performance. That you understand what are your material topics, how you're impacting them or getting impacted. In fact, the BRSR asks about it and also how you are impacting them, whether as a risk or an opportunity. I think that's the starting point that any company should take up. Uh, because materiality, as you know, in sustainability is a continuum concept. You have to keep
Yeah.
updating it every 3 years' time so that you keep actioning your strategy as well as remain relevant. The second point is very important because as sustainability is growing day by day, there are also sectoral interventions that happen. So, for example, in my sector, consumer goods, there is a sustainability interface that only for this industry type will be relevant. Similarly, for others like mining, power, services, banking, you know. So I'm cross-cutting the section to both from typical manufacturing to typical service sites. And the consumer good is somewhere is in the actually the twilight zone, I always say. It is light manufacturing, but it also has a very large service, sector behavior because it has large customer base as well. So I think from that perspective, the materiality commentary becomes very important of how you are updating your dependencies after you're actioning them, and whether you are adding more to the list or deleting from it. That is the hallmark of a living sustainable entity. On the second one, I think in our opinion, I think assurance has been very useful for us for two reasons. One is that the claims that we try to make through our performance, first of all, get signed off by an independent third party of the repute of BSI, because they bring in the credibility of looking at it from a very unbiased view. And so that gives a layer of credibility. Also, the second point is that going beyond only auditing, we also get a lot of knowledge into what we can do to further improve our journey. I think that's the single most a useful input that you can get from a third party verification, that you also get a kind of a external view into how you are doing and where there could be potential areas of improvement. Hence, I think assurance remains a key benefit from that perspective. Assessment, of course, while SEBI has now made it clear that you can take either way, and assessment then, of course, gives you an advantage to look at it if you have no option of going to assurance.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Vishwabandhu, for highlighting such an important point. And Parallelly, I have a follow-up question for you. Once again, you have touched based upon the starting path, and you have talked about the material aspect, and you have talked about the assurance, importance of assurance. From your opinion, what are the major watch-outs companies must look for when implementing BRSR reporting? Maybe in terms of data collection, assurance, readiness. What some of the points if you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I think the answer to this question lies in the question itself, because it
Mhm.
mentions BRSR reporting and not report. So while report is the outcome, reporting is the process. And hence the focus has to be on the process and not on exactly what you need to report out. BRSR today is a very mature document. The way I look at it when I compare to other frameworks from a stock exchange perspective, it's a very mature document. It can give you a lot of information about the company. The major watch out are a couple of them, especially for companies which have got operations in more than one country. The harmonization of critical aspects like emission factors, purchase power parity, and these kind of harmonizations are very important so that you can give a correct consolidated view. Of course, towards this, the SEBI has released the ISB, India Sustainability Board guidelines, which have addressed issues like purchase power parity, to give one number.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it, because you know that the carbon emissions are calculated based on certain standards. Hence, if you know which standard you are, either GHG protocol or ISO 1464, then you know exactly how you want to capture it, and which helps you to also get it assured. The second point is, especially if you have consolidated reporting, and I'm giving from our own example, to bring harmonized reporting periods. I think, usually our reporting periods are financial year, but then people report at different points in time. So bringing them towards one harmonized time period after which you want to report, and then to getting it assured at a reasonable level, I think that is a major call out, because there's a lot of data plus information that goes into a BRSR. Hence, if you're doing an assurance, third party assurance, you have to be ready with the report well in time. So data capturing mechanism, I think towards this, I would say that digitalized methods are better. We are also in that process to get digital ways of doing it, so that the manual interventions are removed. Data is available on a quick time basis and also on a real time basis. And then, of course, the fact that how well the reporting process has been set up. So in terms of harmonization of different factors, harmonization of different timelines. After all, sustainability is cross-functional, and reporting is also equally cross-functional, whether from a report prepare perspective or report auditing perspective. So these call-outs we have to be very careful about while reporting a BRSR, because I just want to caution while I end that BRSR is a compliance document, and hence you need to be very sure about what we are mentioning over it. Uh,
Thank you, Mr. Vishubandhu, for highlighting your points and letting us know about the perspective from an industry side. Now, my next query comes to Mr. Srinivas on the one of the other important point, which is a value chain partners, their compliance and its coverage. So, if Mr. Babu, if you can highlight us the value chain partners, their current coverage, and if you can let us give us an example of how to select the value chain partners, what does SEBI says? Over to you, Mr. Babu.
Yeah, of course, yes. First, let us understand what is value chain. I've just put up a picture here, assuming, we will assume for the time being, he is a product manufacturer. Whatever comes before the product manufacturing is called as the upstream. Whatever comes after the manufacturing, it is called as downstream. The upstream, we call it as the supply chain, and together with the downstream, we call it as value chain. This is the basic principle when we talk about what is the value chain. So we call it as from cradle to grave approach, beyond the fence. It's the complete life cycle of the entire ecosystem. Now, please move on to the next slide, please. Let's quickly look at what is the requirement from the value chain disclosure, what SEBI says. So this is the snapshot of the recent development in terms of the SEBI's recent circular, which says that the requirement is voluntary as of now, either an assessment or assurance of the above is applicable for the first 250 companies from the year 2025 to 26, and it will, sorry, 26 to 27. But however, sooner or later, this may become a mandate. So I would request, this is an important step which companies can take to be future ready. This is more important from a value chain point of view. There are two ways of looking about it. One, slowly the BRSR from a market capitalization, they are increasing the bandwidth in terms of the number of organization. Slowly, they are also looking at bringing in all the MSMEs and the other companies under the BRSR scope, directly or indirectly. So when we now look at when it comes to the coverage, so there are SEBI has also established clarity and a criteria how the value chain needs to be selected. So it says the value chain, the criteria for is based on the value spent on the upstream and downstream. And any value chain partner contributing to 2% or more up till 75% of the purchase or sales value individually needs to be covered. This is the clarity which SEBI has established. And to understand it better, I would like to give an example. Let's move ahead to the next slide. So here, this is assuming a company has a purchase value of about 1,000 crores and a sale value of 80 crores in a given reporting period. So we have bifurcated the contributions both from the upstream and the downstream. Supplier A, B, C, D, E. This is how we have spent. So we have identified what is the total purchase. If you really look at this table, supplier A to D is contributing to more than exactly 75% of the threshold value as mandated by the SEBI. And there is also a supplier E who is contributing to 5%, which is beyond that 75%. Now, the organization have to look at it. We have spent that 5% from a supplier E. What is his contribution with respect to the impact on the inventory, total inventory? If he is a significant, if he is playing a major role, for example, normally in an upstream or a downstream, transportation plays a vital role. Assuming he is a sea shipment supplier, then his contribution will be much significant. So uh, leaving out supplier E may not be the right approach, but including him could be the right approach, even though if it is beyond that 75%. There is a cap with respect to the minimum 75%, but there is no cap on the upper threshold. Even if the companies want, they can report the 100% value chain partner data also. This is the one point I just wanted to stress upon on the significant impact which their value chain partner is creating on the overall ecosystem of the organization boundary. Hope I have
Thank you.
answered your question.
Yeah, Mr. Babu, I think this is a very important point when you highlighted that the coverage companies can keep the coverage threshold till 75%, but also they have to keep a point in mind that which supplier or which downstream partner is contributing significantly to their ESG side of it. Maybe that supplier or that consumer customer may be of that sort who may get neglected also,
Yes.
but you need to look into from both the approaches, like from the significant damage on the ESG side, even if it is a 5% contributor, comparing it to a 10% contributor, you should prefer that one, 5% one. So yeah, it's a very good insightful point that you have highlighted. My parallel question goes to Vishwa on this about the tackling the value chains from the industry side. How Vishwa are you tackling the challenges related to VCP? We understand Tata Consumers being a big company, you must be having n number of value chain partners. So if you can let us know your pain, or you can explain us to help other companies also in that journey.
I think if you look at it from two perspectives, please. One is that in supply chain, and just allow me to dissociate BRSR from that for a minute. Uh,
Mhm.
any big company, and you know that is the sustainability principle that ultimately at one point in time you have to look beyond your own ops and go into your value chain, because that's what the corporate stewardship principle talks about. So that's one journey which any company of a mature scale must take, and I think all the big players and all the names that we know in sustainability are doing that. So having that, that's one part of the story. The other part is on BRSR. uh, I think the key challenge would be getting credible data, because you have to go to your supplier to ask for the same amount and the same kind of data that we are producing and also getting externally verified. So I think that remains one challenge, and how this will be represented within the report, because this is the first year that needs to be done. But I think in a value chain concept, one part of it is to push the values that you have as a principal buyer into the same value chain and then look for information. I think both of these are areas which will require concerted partnership. I will use the word over here. It's not about we seeking data and somebody supplying data. It's more about a partnership and co-creating a sustainable ecosystem, where I guess the BRSR value chain reporting becomes the tool for reporting that progress. If you look at from that perspective, there's a partnership, and I think that given uh, the vulnerability and the porosity of value chains amongst many in industry type, this will only grow strength by strength as we keep doing it over the years. So you will see there will be a glide path to getting our reporting better on our south supply chain.
Got it. I think, Vishwa, the very important point that you have highlighted is about the partnership point, in which you consider themselves as a very integral part of your entire system. You uplift them in terms of maybe capacity building and hand holding them as well, and making them an integral part of your ESG journey. A very important partnership word you have highlighted. Thank you, Vishwa, for your comments onto this. Uh, my next question goes to Mr. Srinivas about his experience into auditing or doing the assurance project of BRSR core KPIs. The challenges that you faced from an auditor's perspective while conducting these third-party assurance on BRSR core KPIs. Over to you, Mr. Babu.
Okay, so now I'd like to speak wearing an auditor hat point of view. Yes, of course. See, this is still evolving. The guidelines are evolving, the criteria is also evolving, and the awareness is also evolving, I would say, because now more and more companies are getting into the bracket or reporting bracket. The awareness level, this is where I, as an auditor, auditing many firms from an assurance point of view, awareness is one big thing. Second thing is uh, the data collection and reporting. What happens many a times, as rightly said by Mr. Vishwa, somebody within the organization is a data supplier. So he cannot be a data supplier. He should know why he is providing this data. What is the implications if the data, right data or accurate data is not provided? And more importantly, the data, whatever the companies are reported, has to be verifiable. And that means there has to be an audit trail or an evidence which should be backed up to support the data or the number what is getting reported. So many a times, if it is a multi-site organization, the data is collected from various locations which gets into populated, consolidated at a central point. There also we find a lot of consolidation errors, errors in terms of computation, errors in terms of applying the formulas. Many companies are going for a digital mode in terms of the locations to overcome this problem. The digital tool is really helping. And the other thing is the awareness of the management level also, because yes, of course, 250 to 500, 500 to 1000. Now the value chain partners, the entire management, I'm not talking about the organization, the entire, including the value chain perspective, the management of the each organization, their awareness needs to be improved. And more importantly, there is an internal controls which needs to be established in terms of the policies more and more importantly, the practices. And when the data is somewhere it is reported, it gets reported. Is there a maker and checker concept which is implemented in the organization? Who is verifying the data? Who is preparing the data? Who is approving the data? That is more important. And many of the organizations, they already have ISO system, which is already implemented. And many places we see that is the framework of the management system is not effectively used. These are a couple of uh, the points which I would like to highlight it, which we are facing as an auditor when we are going for the assurance course.
Thank you, Mr. Babu. I think very important bullet points have highlighted. Even when I've been performing the audits on BRSR core, even I have faced some challenges related to auditees awareness as well, especially because in the BRSR or BRSR core KPIs, if you see, there are environmental terms. There are also some information, some inputs that you have to seek from your financial teams as well, from your statutory team who does the reporting, be it from the financial reports, etc., which becomes a part of KPI requirement within BRSR core as well. So yes, thank you for highlighting your challenges from an auditor's hat. And moving to the next question to Vishwa about Vishwa, your any comments upon the companies or executives who are still thinking or skeptical about the value sustainability reporting adds to an organization? Or yeah, over to you, Vishwa.
Uh, Before that, I think I just wanted to complement what Mr. Baba was talking about capacity building,
Mhm.
because the needs of the information are very discrete in BRSR. In fact, we are also now building capacity of our entire ecosystem, which reports into us on BRSR. So that's a very well made point, sir. I think we are also doing the same thing. Coming back to this question around who are still skeptic about the value of sustainability reporting, I think there are two ways to look at it. One is what we call the value creation paradigm, right? We all create value, and sustainability is also a propeller of that. Now, how you report it back to your stakeholder is the if that is the question, then sustainability reporting is the best answer, and hence it takes me to the second proposition, is that how you are approaching your report essentially makes it important or less important. If it's just an annual exercise to show on certain KPIs that the numbers that flow out, I think then it becomes much like that. But if you look at it from really communicating how you are actioning key themes, and not make it annual, but in fact make it like what your progress and what you're committing to do, then it becomes actually a talking document. So from that perspective, how we are positioning our value creation is actually how it gets driven. So at Tata Consumer, our annual report, our BRSR, while of course they're annual in their cycle, but they are talking documents of the actions that we have committed and where we have reached, and what's lying ahead. So it's basically a continuum, and it just gives the narrative of how we are trying to build value. And hence, to us, it is more than a report. It is actually our action document speaking of where we have reached. And if you just see very carefully, the word reporting is now getting mostly dropped off. The word that's being used is disclosure. So you're making a disclosure to your stakeholders about your commitments, where you have reached and where you are trying to, reach in the next time horizon, mid-term, long-term, and short-term. Hence, disclosure is the word, which again hints at the last point, which is transparency. So those who are not doing sustainability reporting or any kind of sustainability communication in their annual report, which is an integrated report as well, is the fact that you are losing out on the opportunity of being transparent about your impacts and what you're trying to do about those. And that in this world, which is very connected, where you are being rated by ESG raters worldwide, you are being appraised by your investing community, your shareholders, your directors, your supply chain, entire social capital appraises you on that. So I think that's a very big point to be missed out, and hence sustainability reporting or sustainability disclosures are very important from a transparency perspective. And I think as a company, we have definitely benefited. And we would certainly recommend that any company of any size and of any maturity scale, wherever they are, must do that. In fact, the BRSR also has a BRSR light version, which is for the non-listed entities or for the smaller entities. So it is not that it is only for the large companies. It's for any company which wants to understand its BRS, its ESG dependence and how it is actioning. I think the BRSR light also comes into picture over here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bandhu. I think one also analysis that comes to my mind recently, I was reading somewhere. I'm just forget to quote that particular the particular magazine or report, but it was clearly highlighting that a lot of CEOs and CFOs are putting focus on their brand reputation and keeping it a kind of a similar priority for their product quality, and as the brand reputation goes hand in hand, and sustainability reporting was one of the tool which they were leveraging to express about how they are taking the ownership, or they are talking about the product stewardship when they are designing a new product, or when they are coming up with new offerings in the market. So they are doing using the sustainability reporting tool for doing impact understanding, impact analysis on the outer world, on their businesses as well. And it's helping them in many ways. Yeah. So my next question goes to Mr. Srinivas Babu in terms of understanding from you about ISO standards, how these can help us in our ESG journey. Can you please provide some insights into it?
Yes, of course, Mr. Rishon. There are various ISO standards which are already, many organizations have already obtained the certification. Like, for example, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, ISO 27001. Similarly, the water, from a water point of view, it is ISO 46001. These are all couple of ISO standards. You can use the same framework because predominantly you are reporting from an environment, social, and a governance point of view. So in this slide, the standards which are available with respect to the climate change, predominantly the 14,001 and 20,400, which we were now talking about, the sustainable procurement guidelines, which can help you to establish the channel and the partnering mechanism with your supply chain, value chain partners. The 46,001, which is more and more companies are going for 46,001, which is water efficiency management system. And of course, the latest one are the other focus is on ISO 14046, which is the water footprint. But apart from that, there is a more focus now, which is coming in terms of the sustainable finance on ISO 14097. This is predominantly a framework which is getting more and more popular, and more companies are going for these more related from a climate change. If you look at the last year amendment which has taken place in the ISO standards, wherein the climate change, the requirement as an external issue is mandated, the companies mandatedly has to say whether climate change is an external issue or not. So that is one thing for all the ISO standards which is being pushed. And also there is one more ISO system which is still in the development stage, which is Probably it will release it soon on the framework for implementing the ESG principles. That's one. Now we are still expecting that. And from a social point of view, we already have ISO 8000, ISO 26000, ISO 45001, and 27001 from a cyber security, data privacy, 22301 from BCMS, risk management, ISO 31001. And from an ESG assurance services, more predominantly, we have the Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI standard, BRSR for India. There is also a GRESP, there is a SASP, there is a FIRS. So there are various these kind of assurance and training products. Many assurance providers, many certifying bodies, they are providing these things. These frameworks will definitely help the organization in terms of increasing the awareness predominant and to start with, and then implementing the system, and then using the framework for reporting per se, which will help in terms of the accuracy, transparency, which are all the more important thing.
Thank
Hope
you.
I have answered the question.
Yeah, very clearly, Mr. Babu. I think you have highlighted some of the very important ISO standard, be it 64 Part 1, carbon footprint at org
Yes.
level, 68 Part 1, neutrality, sustainable procurement guidelines, which a lot of companies are right now eyeing for this, because one of the important questions comes to them as the ESG evaluation of their suppliers, supply chain, and also one of the important component of rating standards like EcoVadis.
Yeah.
And yes, for thanks once again, Mr. Babu. My last question goes to Mr. Vishwa. Your final comments on any improvement suggestions or anything from your end to make this exercise more meaningful and simple for all these stakeholders?
Yeah, I think if you see the BRSR format, there are three
Mhm.
sections, section A, B, and C. And the section C is the longest one, which goes principle wise into the performance. And usually the focus runs towards that side, because even in assurance, those are the areas where you get data that needs to be assured. But I think the section B, which talks on the governance, should be a area where you can start, even for beginners. It is a very right point to start. And I think the 9 principles that lay out are so well made that they cover the entire spectrum of stakeholders, as well as the ESG paradigm which any company would be interacting with. So I think our recommendation is that people should look at from a governance perspective, and look at the 9 principles and where it's interacting, and start to see that there are enough governance mechanisms to address them, because that is the starting point for answering principle C, which asks you discrete set of questions across the principles. So I think with our experience, we believe that the section B and the governance becomes the guiding point, and from there, I think the data and the performance will automatically flow. So that may be a piece of advice if somebody wants, can help.
Thank you once again, Vishwa. So before taking couple of questions, because we have limited time also, I'll just release couple of poll questions for the participants to gather their inputs as well. My colleague, Mr. Chavinder, will be launching the poll questions on your screen, and you can press the desired button you want to. So I think the poll question number 1 is launched on your screen. This will be active for next 15-20 seconds. Then the poll question 2 will be active. Chavi, are these questions closed? A second question is on the screen. Is it closed? So thank you for providing your responses to the poll questions. Now, before concluding the session, I will take two questions which came as a pre-registration queries to me. One of the question which came to me, I'll be asking to Mr. Vishwa, and one of the question that I'll answer myself is related to a lot of there are a lot of frameworks available: GRI, SASB, IR, BRSR, fighting for the space and ESG reporting. What should be the way to navigate or select one standard out of it? So simple answer is, when you are going for selecting an ESG reporting standard for your organization, look towards the need of your audience, what your intended user is asking, for whom you are doing the reporting. Are you coming under any particular compliance like Indian stock market requirement or any local jurisdiction? Is there any ESG reporting tool available in your local country? Then you can go ahead with that reporting standard. Or for globally, for communicating, if you are a company who is working on a global landscape, then you can go ahead for a global tools like GRI. Or if there is any parallel requirement of a particular country, you can adopt them. So in a nutshell, you have to look into what are your local country requirements are and what is the need of your intended audience, the user of your sustainability data, the reader of your sustainability report. That way you can prioritize or selecting a reporting framework, a reporting standard for you. Next question I would like to ask it to Vishwa. Vishwa, there's a person who is asking that, is materiality assessment, is it a mandate exercise for BRSR core related reporting?
Yeah, it is. So BRSR core is actually a subset of certain indicators which have to undergo reporting, right? The report still happens on the entire BRSR, and there's a section on material topics and risk and opportunities. Any which ways, even if we just step out of the discussion of being mandatory or not, for any company which wants to report on sustainability and wants to understand its impact on sustainability, materiality remains the first and the most important step. So I would put that materiality should be, as I mentioned in my earlier talk as well, that the materiality is the most important step, as well as the barometer on which you measure your performance around your important topics.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Vishwa. One more question I'll take, and that will go to Mr. Srinivas Babu. There is a query, Mr. Babu, which says that, is ISO 20400 sustainable procurement guidelines, is it a mandatory requirement for the supply chain partners?
No, see, if you really look at in that per se, whole of ISO series is a voluntary thing. There is nothing mandatory as such. And 20,400, that frameworks will help the organization to establish a partnership with their supply chain relationship, and also this will help the organization to convey or communicate their requirements upfront. That
Right.
in that per se, no, that will help. But if you really look at none of the ISO standards, every all ISO standards are no volunteer in nature. It is to the up to the organization to take a leverage of this standard framework and the processes.
So
But
the
however,
this
yeah, any
yeah.
organization is certified under that, there will be, it is an international no recognition, no doubt about it.
Got it. Thank you once again, Srinivas sir, for letting us know the response against this query. And with this, we come to the conclusion. We come to the end of this very first webinar in the series of the BRSR webinars. Going forward, we will be having some webinars on GHG, water and waste KPIs, and uncovering the KPIs like trading houses, MSME spends as well from a investor's point of view, what they want to take out the interpretation. And a very big thanks to Mr. Vishwabandhu and Mr. Srinivas Babu for sharing their experiences on the assurance and the implementation side. You really have graced the presence of this webinar. And at the end, I would say that please be everybody, please be stay in touch with BSI. Keep following our LinkedIn page. LinkedIn sustainability page for more such information, our product offerings and upcoming webinars. Till then, I thank you once again, all of you, to being an active listener of this webinar. Until the next webinar, see you in the next webinar as well. And till then, bye-bye and have a happy weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for attending. Thanks, Mr. Rishan, and thanks, Mr. Vishwa, for joining this occasion and helping the participants in terms of enhancing their knowledge and awareness. This is also, I would say, one of the capacity building exercise, I would say. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babu. A pleasure to be a part of this discussion. And I think, as I said in the beginning, it's a very timely step that BSI is taking. So congratulations on that, and looking forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.